Hey everyone, this is Mario again, coming at you another movie review. If I look sweaty, it's because I just came inside from putting on a load of clothes and doing a workout. Quick one. Before that, I just finished watching a movie via Netflix, which it's the one that's still on right there. I don't know if you'll be able to read the title from there. It, of course, it says B-movie from the mid-70s, and it's a movie I've known about for a while, and I just got to watch it via that. I don't know if it's available on DVD or not, but if it is, I'll try to get it in my collection one day. Because for me, it was a fun B-movie. It's directed by Bert Gordon, who apparently has directed nothing but B-movies, and his last movie was in 1990, so 22 years, not another movie. He's still alive, though, but he's directed movies such as The Cyclops, The Amazing Colossal Man, Attack of the Puppet People, War of the Colossal Beast, Earth vs. the Spider, Village of the Giants, Empire of the Ants, Necromancy, and of course this movie. This is probably one of his more well-known ones. It of course is the film The Food of the Gods, loosely based off of a short story of a novel called The Food and the Gods and How It Came to Earth by H.G. Wells. I haven't read the story before, and I've read it very loosely, just takes some of the basic ideas and makes a movie out of it. It had a sequel made in '89 called Food of the Gods 2, but I haven't researched that. Now, the film, when it came out, wasn't very successful. Doesn't say really how much money it made and how much money it cost, but it won something called the Golden Turkey Award for Worst Rodent Movie of All Time, which I do not see why it won that. I mean, I thought the use of rodents was clever, which I'll get to that in a minute. The plot basically is that we got our main character's name is Morgan. He's a professional football player. One weekend, him and his buddies go camping on this island that apparently is in British Columbia, and when they get separated, one of them is stung to death, and as we see as the audience, it's by giant wasps. After taking his body back to the mainland, Morgan returns to investigate. And he finds this farm run by this old couple, but he only meets the old woman. And apparently they found this, were given this thing which they say was by God, which they call the food of the gods in the title thing. Her and her husband, Mr. and Mrs. Skinner is what their names are, they consider it a gift from God. And at first they fed it to their chickens, as we see. But apparently other critters like rats, wasps, and worms eventually get hold of the substance, and it makes them grow to giant size. But the thing is, if you're an adult, a fully grown creature, when you eat it, it doesn't really affect you that much, or if it does, they never mention. It's usually it more affects creatures that are still growing, like kids, baby rats, grubs, etc. And it makes them grow to gigantic size. But it's like, I think it's like a set size per thing, because like rats we see are about as big as humans. The wasps we see are about as big as hawks. Worms we see not bigger than her. They're not. That's just a big size comparison. But actually, the worms more that we see are like as big as this candle. And of course, chickens the size as men, especially a giant rooster. I will say that the effects for that. Stuff like the effects for the rooster and the close-up for the rats, that's where you can see that it's like a B-movie because of that, and also because of the plot itself. But the movie has a charm to it, kind of it's a B-movie charm, I guess you could say. That the movie is silly. It's not really self-aware because it does take itself seriously, but it has that charm to it because it does have an allegorical message, mostly towards the end, which I'll get to in a bit. But it's a fun movie, and I do not see why it didn't do well. It should have done well. It's like one of those movies. It's a popcorn entertainment movie, is what I'm trying to get at. It's one of those movies that you hear about, you're like, let's go watch it to have an entertaining time. That's basically what it is. And if you look at the poster, it's a rat carrying off a woman, or keep pinning a woman to a tree branch, excuse me. You cannot expect the movie to be fully serious. Like I said, it takes itself seriously, but it's basically a fun movie throughout the most of the thing. And it's basically, from what I gathered, it's an Ecology Strikes Back scenario, which, from what I understand, was common in science fiction in the 70s, I guess, with movies like that movie The Swarm that I reviewed last year, which I enjoy that as well, and other movies like that one movie that Matt reviewed about the ants, among others. But like Swarm, this is a fun B-movie, as I said. The acting in it is nothing Oscar-worthy, but it's not that bad. You believe them. The script could have been fine-tuned a little bit more because there are some times it kind of seemed forced, or you can obviously tell that the screenwriter wasn't experienced enough to where you can write something fully developed, I guess you could say. Some of the parts seem spontaneous, but B-movie, so you just accept it and go with it. It's not like you're gonna go through, look at it too much. But I guess you could say the moral to the story is summed up at the beginning and the end with the narration by the character of Morgan, where it's basically, the moral is basically, we as humans better start treating the planet better, or eventually one day it will get its revenge on us. As it shows in this movie, like through the food of the gods, it got its revenge in a little bit. But we as humans, how we constantly treat our planet, you know, with pollution, all different tests like the nuclear tests and stuff, we're causing so much destruction to the planet that eventually is going to come around to bite us in the ass. We don't know how, we don't know when, but eventually it will. Like, maybe in the form of us dying off, maybe in the form of something happening like a meteor strike, or in this case animals taking vengeance, but we don't know. And we as humans, we better control our destructive nature before it's too late. And that's the moral of this one, of the story, is that we have to try to control it. Especially with how the movie ends. I'm not going to give away how the movie ends, but for some it might be set up for a sequel, which of course eventually did happen, like over about 10 years after the movie came out, which it did not really need a sequel, because the way it is filmed, it's kind of an open ending, and I really do like open endings if they're done well, and this is one that's done well, because after the whole movie's gone by, you really want everything to turn out okay, and for the most part it does, but then when you see the last part, you're like, oh no. And then of course, how it ends, it's up to the viewer basically to decide what happens from there on. So that's why I think it's a good open ending, and it goes with the moral of the story that we as humans need to control our destructive tendencies, which is easier said than done, obviously, but it is possible. I mean, look at, for example, Buddhist monks. They, for the most part, control their tendencies from being human to cause destruction and stuff, and they get along just fine. I know that's just one example, but that's an example. Take what you will from that. Anyway, my rating for Food of the Gods is a 4 out of 5. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention something. Excuse me. Yeah, I already mentioned the acting. The effects I thought were okay. I mean, for the wasps, could have been a lot better, but like for the miniature for the giant nest, I thought looked pretty good. How they did the rats, I thought was very effective. I mean, for the close-ups, obviously, where it's in the same shot as a human, it's for the most part like a giant rat head, which you could tell obviously it's fake, but I thought it looked like it was well made. But for the rest of it, it's basically what they did was they used actual size rats and like superimposed them into the background to make them look bigger. Or in the case of like when the rats are attacking they're attacking a cabin, it's just like a miniature with rats going over it. That I thought was very clever, and I actually like seeing that stuff in B movies. Like, you know, like in the movie Alligator, for certain scenes they actually used an actual alligator. Granted, you can tell it's a baby alligator, but still, it's effective use. If this movie had been made nowadays, it would have been all CGI rats, which that would not have looked as good. I actually prefer when it's something in the camera. You all know me and my love of practical effects. The worms, it was an okay practical effect. The chickens, except for the scenes where it's the rooster, it's like the same thing as the rats. A chicken superimposed to make it look bigger, which it works. Then of course the scene with a dam exploding, you can tell that the water is green screen, but it works. Like I said, it's a 4 out of 5. If you're a fan of B movies and movies of this nature and this genre, I say give it a watch. If you have Netflix, it's on instant right now, so you might as well watch it if you've been interested in it. If you don't have Netflix, however you find it, if it's on TV, give it a watch, I say.